Hi everyone, welcome to my studio. This is the first Banana Club for 2020, believe it or not. So welcome. I am going to show you today how to make a wonderful little case. Now this case can be used for a sewing case. It can be used, you can make it into a lunchbox. You can use it for racing cars for little boys. You can use it for racing cars for little girls for that matter. You can make it as a makeup bag. It's very, very useful. So I want to show you, this is the first one I made, just 1 second, and I'll tell you the clever designer. Debbie Shaw is her name, and I found this free pattern on the internet, and I really, really liked it. Since I've made a few of these, I've now decided that I kind of like it with the binding on the outside, not the inside. So this is the original pattern. And I've put on a continuous zipper, and I've put on 2 ends so that it can open side to side. Some of my other bags I'll show you later have just got 1 zipper on them. So when I turn this inside out, however, take my goodies out of it, the whole bag could actually be reversible. And I've teamed mine up with a binding out of fabric, not bias binding as per the pattern. So I could actually make, make this reversible if I wanted, if my zip could open both ways. Okay, so it's got a little pocket at the back, and I've got my threads in there, and then, so yeah, the whole thing could be reversible if you wanted it to. So I've started to make them with my bindings on the outside now rather than the inside because I like the contrast. But it's very, very cool. Now the reason why this bag works so well and it's so easy to make is because of the product that we've used. So this is obviously 100% cotton, and the product I'm using is the beautiful Soft and Stable. Now this is from Bianes. A lot of you people would have heard of Bianes. So it is like a foam, and it's pliable, and when you wash it, it has a memory, so everything you make stays as it is when you first make it. So that's why I really like it. So it's not a wadding like a normal wadding, and it's not a foam, but it's very, very similar, and it's a mixture of both. Brilliant product. So this one is not iron-on either side. We're going to use our beautiful 505 spray today, and the 505 spray is an adhesive spray, but it's a temporary one, and if you make a mistake you can lift off your fabric and put it back on. Now when you're doing a project like this, you need to get yourself a box, and I call it a spray box. And don't tell my husband, but I just had to steal this out of the cupboard because I left mine one at work. So this is going to have spray in this box. I'll fix it up later. And by doing that, it means your spray isn't going to go all over your beautiful table. Okay? So I'm going to use that today for this project. And I've got my little iron ready to go and my 505 spray. So what you need to make this little carry case is you need to have 2 fabrics. So you need to have your outer fabric, your main fabric, and you need to have your lining fabric. And I've decided to team it up with this lovely bright striped fabric today. So that's my outer, that's my lining, and you need 2 of each and 2 of each of those. Okay? The next thing you need is a little tiny piece of Soft and Stable for your handle, and I'm going to have this as my right side, and I'm going to put my handle as my bright fabric. I might even change that up yet. Then you are going to have 2 pieces that are for your zipper. So you're going to have a wide piece and a narrow piece for your zipper, and you're going to cut, as per the instructions, a narrower piece of Soft and Stable for both sides of your zipper. Okay? So I have teamed it up with this one and teamed it up with this one. Okay? Today I'm actually going to use a By Annie zip. She's got really beautiful zips, and this one does open both ways, so I can have it the same as what I've got my bag, this zipper is way too long, so I'm only going to make my zipper, I'm going to be cutting off that zipper, and I'm going to be using that much of the zipper. I will keep this end of a zipper and put another zipper end on and use it somewhere else, okay, not in this bag. The back of your case has got your soft and stable in, and then one each of the layers of your backing, okay? Now, just to make it really different, I've decided that I'm going to bind it with this pretty outrageous orange fabric with a gold fleck. Okay, so a little bit different. I'm not using the bias binding. I'm not biasing my binding. It is a straight piece of fabric. So you do not need to bias. It goes around the curves fine. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to get one piece of my soft and stable. I'm putting it in my spray box. I'm getting the top, the right side of my bag, and I'm going to spray my top of my soft and stable. So I'm only spraying one side, and that's all you need. It's only a temporary bond, okay? Then I'm just going to put this right side down and place this on top. It should be about 5 mils less than your round the edge, and if it isn't, some parts of it is, I haven't trimmed this one well, so I'm just going to trim off a little bit. It sticks very well, by the way. I'm just going to trim off a little bit so that it's about 5 mils. Do you know, it doesn't even matter. This particular product just stitches beautifully on the machine anyway. So that is my soft and stable, and that is stuck onto there beautifully. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make my handle. Now, I am not very good at reading other people's notes, so I will show you how I have made these, and they may differ from the notes because that's just the way I work. So what we're going to do is put, I've chosen a variegated thread that can be used for my sewing and my top stitch. I've got my loop turner ready to go because it is the best thing since sliced bread, and it makes this job easy. And I keep my little scissors here. So even if I'm not using my thread stand for my thread, as I'm not today, I use it for my tools so I know where they are, because I lose that all the time. So I've got my 1/4 inch foot on today, and I need glasses on, and I'm going to tell my machine that I have got my 57 foot on, which I have done. So I'm just going to line my fabric right side to right side, and you'll see I've got my height adjustable table and chair, and I need to put my chair down a bit. I'm a little bit too high. That is better for me. And I use my left foot for my sewing. I've got addicted to that now. And I'm going to take my lock off. I have got this machine to lock off at the beginning of my work. I do not want that for this project. So I'm going to go into my settings. Now, if I come to the left here, can you still see my screen? Yep, you can see my screen. Brilliant. So this is really good. I've tried to place myself in front of my mirror. So I'm hoping this will work today. So I'm going to my settings button, which are the cogs. I'm going to straight sew zigzag. I'm going to the lock off and taking that off. I'm going to the hand. I'm going to the scissors, and I'm taking off the lock off. I don't want that on today, okay? And then I'm closing that down. So I really hope that works today for you. This is a trial. You're my guinea pig, so let's see how we go. You can let me know. Okay, so now I've taken my lock off, and I am, because I want this nice and strong, so I'm going to go forward and reverse. Okay. And make sure, yep. And I have not threaded something right, so that's a very good start. One moment please while I just fix up my bobbin. See, it can happen to me as well. Okay, so when I started that lock off, this thread on the bottom is a very fine thread, and I thought it might have been strong enough for that job, but it's not. So that just shows you So I will put in another bobbin, and I will choose a colour that will go with, ooh, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut my thread because I haven't got the right colour bobbin, and I'm going to wind the same colour as on the top so I get a really nice finish. So it's probably a good thing that happened. So I just thought, oh, I'll try that little thread. I wonder if that will work. It didn't work. It's too fine for what I wanted to do. It's actually an embroidery thread, but for your normal sewing it was obviously just not going to work, so that's fine. We'll use this nice 30 weight cotton. Okay, so I don't want a full bobbin because I love that thread and I don't want to waste that all. And I'm just going to pop it back in there, and we will just start that all over again. So it's good when those sort of things happen for me, because you can see sometimes what can happen to you and what you need to do. So remember, when you're threading, you need to have your foot up. So I've got my knee across, my foot's up, which means my tensions are open. And there we go. Okay, you don't need to bring your bobbin thread up, remember, for sewing with these machines. Just cut my thread. There we go. Should we try that again? Take two. It's actually good when those sort of things happen. Now, remember, if you need to, I'll just get a bit of fabric out of the rubbish bin here, because I try and remember to do this. Always forget when it comes to my videos. So when you start, just have your little bit of fabric there, and just sew onto, because you've got not much to hold on to here. Much easier if you've started on a piece of fabric. Okay, there we go. It's nicer, isn't it? Now reverse there, because you're going to be pulling that through. Okay, and then you've got something to hold on to. See, much easier. So much easier. I left my 97D foot at work, and I did that last time as well. I have got to bring it home. So my 97D foot, which is the correct foot for use for this machine, is at work again. I even went this morning and I forgot to pick it up. Sad but true. Okay, now I can just leave my second bit of fabric on there, trim this one here, and have this ready for the next one. And now I'm ready to go. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to pull this through. So you've got your little loop turner here, and you're going to put it all the way through. You're going to hook it over the bar, hook it over the edge of your fabric on the fold, anywhere is fine, and then keep the tension on it. If you let go of the tension, the hook will come out. And then you're going to roll it. I'll just put that down so you can see. I'm going over to the iron and I'm going to roll that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press it so the seam's all pressing one way, but it's on the centre back. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to press it. And you can see I've got this cute ass little iron here. It's very handy in my sewing room. It's all I need. Very, very handy. And this wonderful little table has got a cutter and this ironing board. And on the other side it's got all my threads in it. So just do that first. Now you're going to use your loop turner again, and you're going to thread your loop turner through your handle, and you're going to get your piece of soft and stable, and make sure your hook is in it, feels like it is, and then you're going to pull it back through your handle. So just get your first little bit in like that, so it's sitting in, and then just give it a nice little pull, and that's how I do my handles. So easy. So the loop turner is a very handy tool, especially when you can get it off. There you go. And hang it back up, because you lose it. That's why it's got a big tag on it. I've got about 3 of them because I lose them all the time. So pull your fabric down. Your fabric should be about 6 mils bigger on both ends. I'll just give that a push down there so it is. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my number 10 edge stitch foot. So your number 10 edge stitch foot is, it'll either be wide like this for the bigger machines or smaller. and it has the bar down the middle. So if I gently roll that under, the bar on the number 10 foot finishes before the opening of the foot. So that means that I can do any fancy stitch I like, zigzag, running zigzag. I can use my needle positions to the right and to the left, and I don't have to worry about breaking a needle. Okay, so that's why I love the number 10 foot. So I'm going to put my needle up. I'm going to lift my fabric out. I'm going to take my 1/4 inch foot off. I'm going to put on my number 10 foot. Now if I go back to the screen, I'll show you how to change your machine to put the right foot on. All right, so on the screen here I've got my 57 foot highlighted. I'm going to touch where it shows you my 57 foot, and I'm going to push my button back here till I get to my number 10, or I can go to 0 to 9 and I can put in 10, and it will bring up the 10, the 10C and the 10D, and I'm going to touch 10D. Okay, now you'll see it's showing on the left hand side that I'm using foot 10D. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is move my needle position to the left about 3 spaces for this particular handle that I'm making, and I'm ready to go. One more thing, I'm going to lengthen my stitch length out to 3. So you can see it's gone yellow, 10D, 3 length, and -3 is my needle position, and I'm ready to go. Okay, so it's very, very, very good. So now I'm going to top stitch down both sides. Again, I can use my little bit of fabric. I've got something to hold on to because it's a very small piece that I'm working on. The bar of the foot runs along my folded edge. All right. Oh, if you've got a 10D on, you can use your jewel feed. That's the whole idea of it. It's very, very good because it feeds it nice and evenly. So just whip down the side here and then go onto your fabric. Now the beauty of this is I can just turn this around and I can go back. I'll just clip that. I can go back onto here and then back onto here. So it makes it really, really easy. So I'm trying to make it easier for you all, so I hope that works for you. And then back onto your fabric. If you get into the habit of doing that, you'll find it really, really easy. Okay. Now the next thing you're going to do is, I love these sewing gauges. So if I haven't got my tape measure around my neck, which I live with, I use a sewing gauge. So I think it's easy to show you with a sewing gauge because I can stay sitting here and it will be clearer. So I'm going to put my sewing gauge on the width I want to put my handle, and it's 7.5 centimeters from this curved edge. So I'm going to put a pin like that to show you, 7.5. Then I'm going to put 7.5 here on this side. And after making a few of these, I start the handle 6 centimeters from there. So if I put a cross reference with a pin, that's where I'm going to start my handle on both sides. I find that worked really well. You can honestly put it wherever you like, whatever suits you, but this worked for me. So there's my cross reference where my handle's going to go. All right. So you put this right side of your handle down. Oops, there's my cross reference there. My seam is going to be 1/4 inch. So I just lay this down like this, and I get my pin and I re-pin through there. Okay, so I'm going to stitch a 1/4 inch seam there, and then, whoops, make it nice and perfect, a 1/4 inch seam, and then I'm going to top stitch. Now I won't change my foot, because you know what, you can actually get away with this. So if you've got your number 10 foot on and you're just going to sew something like this, it honestly isn't drastic, is it? the width, it's about 1/4 of an inch. So if I come to here and I put my needle down onto there, because I've worked out all of these things with my machine, the opening of my foot to where I've got my needle position over is going to be about 1/4 of an inch. So I can just leave it on what it's set on, and then I can leave my foot on and I don't have to chop and change. So you can get away with it. So take your pin out and go forward and reverse and go forwards and then reverse. Oops, reverse. And then I'm going to cut my thread. Right? I don't need to lock off, so I've taken it off. I'm just cutting my thread. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my handle over. Oh, I just removed my pin by mistake with my finger. It was 6, wasn't it? Look at that. I knocked my pins. There we are. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over. I'll turn this around to show you. So there's my handle, and I'm putting this under my foot. My edge stitch foot has got my bar on the side, and I'm moving my needle position all the way to the left. Okay, I'm moving my needle position all the way to the left. Okay, and then I'll show you what you can do as well if you're going to use your 1/4 inch foot. So that's what I do with my edge stitch foot. If I left my 1/4 inch foot on, remember to tell the machine what foot you're using, and I go 0 to 9, 57, not 357. Okay, if I was using my 1/4 inch foot, so now I'm going to line up my handle on the other side with my pin and my pin. I'm going to put a pin through. Which way am I going to sew? I'm probably going to sew this way, so I'm going to put a pin through here. Make sure it goes through all layers. Right? And then double check that that didn't move when you sewed. Perfect. Okay? So if I was going to use my 1/4 inch foot, this is what I'd do. I just move my handle out of my road. I'd use my 1/4 inch foot. I take my pin out. I take my pin out so I don't sew over pins. Oh, yes, foot 57, and it's saying, why do you still have your needle position over? Clear it so that everything goes back to normal. Thank you, machine. It didn't let me break a needle. Oh, what have I done? Oh, I told it I had 57D foot on, and I've only got a 57. Honestly, these machines, they will not let you make a mistake. It's brilliant. I think it's great as you get older too. So I'm just going to go forward and reverse. They absolutely won't let you break a needle or make a mistake. I'm going to cut it with my scissors. I'm going to cut my thread here at the top and at the bottom. I haven't really got any thread to cut at the bottom. Oh, there's one. And this time I'm going to turn it over this way and use my 1/4 inch foot. So you can either leave the 10 on or pop your 1/4 inch foot back on. So simple. Whatever works for you. And then just reverse. Now by doing your handle like this, you're making a much stronger handle because you've stitched it twice. Now this is what I want to show you. So I used my 1/4 inch foot for both these seams on this side. This one I used my edge stitch foot, but can you see how it didn't cover my seam? So that means always use your 1/4 inch foot because that's not wide enough. Okay? So that is a really good way of showing you that you really do need to use your 1/4 inch foot because it covers your raw edge over and your number 10 foot doesn't. Alright, so there's a lesson right there in itself. So I will see you after the break and show you the next part of the bag.